Okay, welcome to the first episode of Guitars and Cars. This is Gear Chat with Jay and Matt. So I'm Matt. I live in Nova Scotia. I am a musician. I'm a video guy, marketing, and I like cars. And I happen to find a kindred spirit in my friend Jay here. Introduce yourself, Jay.
My name's Jay. I love long walks on the beach. I'm also a musician, a video guy, a marketing guy. I'm just a Mississauga version of Matt with a bit of a beard, but that's okay.
Sounds good. So the whole idea here is that we are going to have three main topics. We're going to have one about guitars and music. We're going to have a little gear corner, which can kind of be a little bit of anything, technological, music, whatever. And then we'll have a cars topic, and then we'll wrap up. So that's the flow of the episodes, and we're hoping for every 2 weeks. So we're going to dive into the first topic, which is a kind of timely one for me. So the overarching theme here is digital modeling in 2026. Where are we compared to the real thing? And I guess I want to know, we haven't talked about these topics ahead of time. So I kind of want to know, what's your history with amps, and what do you think about digital modeling?
I've gone super simple on the amp side. I've got a Fender 212 DeVille hot rod. It's tubey and it's great and it's warm. It does all the things. I also have a new-ish Boss Katana 100, which is the everything in one. And I'm like, well, it's good for versatility, but that new John Mayer plugin, like, I don't know why everybody wants to sound like John Mayer because he's got such a unique tone, but now it's not unique for a couple $100. So I'm a purist when it comes to that, and I'm not you only need your fingers and the strings and the wood, right? There's room for a bit of a chorus or a reverb, but completely changing lanes. I loved that famous Line 6 pod when
Yeah,
it
the
came out.
original.
But
Yeah.
we're both in our mid 40s, and this came out when we were teenagers, and the whole no internet thing, and all you had was what you heard on the radio, sometimes even AM radio. So that was like the thing to have. You were like, please put me in your band. I need a guitar player that has this Line 6 pod.
Absolutely. Just to plug in and put headphones on and try every effect that you couldn't go buy because you couldn't afford a Space Echo or whatever. And I think that's one really great thing about these devices. My daughter is 13 and she's learning guitar, and like I could get her a Line 6 Pod Express for $200, and she could try every effect in the world, and all different kinds of amps and all that kind of stuff. And for us, it was like, you got to borrow it or you got to spend a lot of money to try all of these different things. So I think on that side of things, there's nothing but good things to say. Do you think the Line 6 Pod original would stand up today?
No.
Well, there's some videos that you should go check out because people are checking them out again, and they're not as bad as one might think.
And I give the slow no because we're in an information overload generation. It's not an era. It's not a phase. Right now, my phone could give me the answers to everything. And if I downloaded a couple of apps, I could give you nearly every tone that's out there. So that's why I say it wouldn't hold up. But I think everything goes in cycles. So the people in their 40s, and I would love to believe people in their 20s and 30s, in their whole vintage retro cycle, will be able to go, oh, this is like the OG of effects pedals. So I want it to be relevant again. I don't know how long the relevancy will stay for. What are your thoughts on that?
I think a lot of what makes up a guitar tone is, well, first of all, there's so many pieces of it, and people listen to guitar tones on records, and then they go, well, why doesn't mine sound like that? And they might even go buy the same amp and guitar or this whatever, but the thing is we're listening to mixed and mastered records that have most likely multiple guitar tracks layered in, that have plugins and, all of this different stuff. So I think that some people might pick up a Line 6 pod, play it and go, well, that's not good. But really, you've heard that sound on records. Like the original pod was absolutely used on albums. It's been used on tours. And so for me, it's like if it was good enough to be on records and on tours, then it is a good piece of gear, but it is not going to be the be all end all because that's just one tool in the toolbox of those professional musicians. So I think we put all of our eggs into the one basket. Yeah, it's not going to be as good probably, but
And there's so many variables, like what kind of speakers, and are you using a multiple speaker setup, and what kind of amp do you have? And like you said, there's at least 2, 3, 4 layers of guitars on almost everything that's done out there, even the primitive days. But if it's duplication you're looking for, like I don't think you're going to get that anywhere unless you're, actually in the room for the band recording.
exactly. So I had the little practice amps when I started out, but then I got tube amps and I had a 50-watt tube head and a 4x10 cab, eventually downsized to like the 1x12 version of that, the 30-watt. It was a Laney. Then I got a Vox AC15 and I love tube amps. But there were three things that kind of made me change. One is the weight of carrying an amp or a cab, and and I live in a walk-up, and it was just like, what am I doing here? Carrying this thing all over at Hell Creation. The second thing is they are finicky. There was never a time where I got to the rehearsal space and did all of the same things and played, and it sounded identical to the way that it did 2 weeks before. And it's just subtle differences, but tube amps are living, breathing things. And, you can't always 100% say that's going to sound identical. And not all effects and pedals work the same with every amp. But the biggest thing was hauling it up and then not even being able to play it here because, we have a tenant down below. I have kids, I have dogs. I can't turn my amp up to where it sounds good. So what is the point right now? Like, so it really kind of hit me there. And then we switched to in-ear monitors with my band. So then I had the amp in another room with a microphone going in. And I'm like, now I have a whole other thing to think about because the mic changes how it sounds. And then my friend kind of reminded me because we had talked about it before, but he's like, Universal Audio makes these great amp sim pedals. And he had the Fender one, which was called the Dream. And they had just come out with a Marshall one called the Lion. So I went and tried it at Long McQuaid, and I could not believe how it sounded. It was incredible. I watched every YouTube video about it. If people have not kind of seen anything about the Universal Audio pedals, it's worth watching some of the behind the scenes. James Santiago is one of the main guys that is kind of running that department. And they literally go and get vintage amps and rip them apart and look at everything that's inside of them so that they can model the parts. And then they record and it's crazy. So that Marshall pedal was absolutely incredible, and it changed my view completely on modeling.
Really? Now, here's your loaded question alert. If you didn't have that mentioned to you by your friend, do you think the universe would have brought that to you at some point?
I don't know. And the other thing is we played a show pretty quickly right after I got it. And I got off stage and I'm talking to a friend of mine who is in another band. And he said, man, you told me beforehand what you had. He's like, but I would believe you if you said you had a Marshall 4x12 on that stage. And I was like,
Wow.
okay. Now, the I don't want to get too into the weeds, but that pedal didn't work out for me in the way that I wanted it to. It's really great if you're in a studio and you want to get that sound, or if you're like a professional musician and have a guitar tech who's going to be able to take care of these things. But it really doesn't play super well. It doesn't do MIDI. It doesn't have headphones out. It's not an audio interface. It is an amp. It's basically an amp and a pedal, right? And it's great, but it just didn't kind of work with my workflow. So then I was hanging out with another friend, and I was going to do a music video for them. I ended up doing a live video, but he had a Helix because he's in like 7 different bands, and he's like, this has everything. And I was like, I remember the Pod, but and the Helix is 10 years old. How good could it be? He's like, go, you can borrow it. But he needed it that weekend. So I went back to Long and McQuaid with my headphones, my guitar, and I was there for 2 hours, and I could not believe the sounds that were coming out of this thing. So I now have a Helix, and the crazy thing about this is that it's 10 years old, but just under maybe around 2 years ago, they completely changed how they modeled every amp and cabinet and microphone and replaced all of the amp and cab models in this thing. They're constantly updating it.
Wow.
So a new version of the Helix has come out, but I'm like, this is incredible. And so as much as I absolutely miss my tube amps and my sound, I'm playing in a 90s, 2000s cover band. So I need to have tones that are like, close to what they had. And I need all of these effects. And I can build a set list in this thing. So literally my
Wow.
next preset is the next song in there. I could copy and paste. I can grab things from the internet, and you can edit it on the computer. So when I'm rehearsing at home, I have the app up on the computer, and I can change all of the settings of the Helix via USB. So
you have the lightning crashes flanger, and
absolutely.
you have the jangly stuff, and you have the big Smashing Pumpkins. I know you don't have
the fuzz.
Yeah. And you got all the things, and that's
Yeah.
It's kind of remarkable what technology can do.
It's nuts. And for me, it's solving some major issues, and it's scratching an itch of like, so my pedal board was ridiculous. It's like the biggest pedal train thing. Things are underneath. It's chock full. I could barely hit some of the buttons because the pedals were so close together. Because I'm like, well, I need a phaser for this, and I need a delay for this, and I need an organ sound for this. And I mean, most bands aren't needing to do that. They have their sound. I'm trying to imitate a bunch of different things, but at the same time, it's been really inspiring to have all of these things and be able to really get a Fender sound, because I've never owned a Fender amp. So, you're used to the Fender sound. I'm used to like a Laney thing. So I think as tools, they are fantastic. Now, I still want a tube amp again.
Why? Not to be a jerk, but why? Like, it seems like you have everything literally beneath 1 or 2 feet.
Not necessarily for this band that I'm in now. I think that if I ever play original music again, I would want a tube amp and just build my sound up from that, maybe. But the problem is, the only amp that I really, really want to buy right now is like an Enigma. I went to a friend's house. I was shooting his cottage. I was going to shoot it for Airbnb, and his in-laws live next door. And his father-in-law is this absolutely incredible, like Americana surf guitar player. And he's retired, and they live way out, kind of in the middle of nowhere in Nova Scotia. Anyway, he has a treasure trove, and he's like, yeah, just pick whatever you want. And we were going to jam. And I pulled out a 1959 original Fender Princeton, like the 8-inch speaker, 2 knobs. I have never played an amp that it just sang and it just reacted to everything I was doing. Every guitar I threw at it was like a little different and great. And then I had like a couple of his pedals in front of it. It handled everything. I was like,
Wow.
Now I dream about that amp, and I've seen them on Reverb for like $10,000. So
this podcast better take off real quick.
I know, man. I need that amp. I need that amp.
Going back about 2 minutes, we got to give your band a shout out, because you guys have the best possible name.
Okay, yeah. Especially if there's anyone in our age bracket listening to this, our band name is Rick and the Temps. And so you may remember Rick the Temp from Much Music. And luckily enough, we had someone who's kind of a mutual friend, and they let him know about the band. And I kind of named it as a joke. I'm like, we're not gonna keep that, right? But nothing better came up, and I kind of loved it. And sure enough, Rick reached out and he said, I absolutely love it. You guys are awesome. He likes our posts. And then he recorded a little video for us, which we're using for marketing. But 2 people have commented saying, Rick's not going to be there. What a scam. Like, like in the video, he says these guys are, and he's always saying this band. And so now we've had to put a little disclaimer saying Rick's not going to be at the show in February. Sorry, guys, but maybe someday.
That's good. No comment.
No, there we go. Okay, that is our guitar topic. I think we could talk a lot about that, but I think that it's a tool. And for me, as I'm getting older, I think I keep saying all the time, whatever makes you happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
To everyone. And I think there's so many arguments on the internet about like guitar has a lot of arguments. It's ridiculous. It's
right?
Like, you can't possibly do that. Like, what are you talking about? Use
why
what
not?
you want. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, use what you want, sound the way you want. If you're a bedroom rock star, great. If you're on stage, medium, small, large, whatever it is, you know your sound, you know your tone, and go get it.
Gear Corner. All right, it's time for Gear Corner. And I just want to talk about, so I just got a new guitar. I bought a really cheap Gretsch. They just came out with these new kind of lower end to mid end guitars. We'll talk about it in another episode though, but it's a beautiful guitar. And I have a Straplok on my other, I really only have one electric guitar. I'm weird that way where I will really lust after amps and effects pedals and all that stuff, but I've had one guitar basically for 25 years, which is a G&L. But so I got this Gretsch because it has a humbucker and it puts Straplok on it. So I like these guys. This is it's really shiny. Dunlop. Can we do this better? There we go.
There we go.
No. I'm going to put something up over this, but this is the box to the Straplok. So the reason that I really like the Dunlop is that you kind of push a pin in and then pull the strap away. I've had some other ones where you pull a pin out and I'm like, that for some reason, the physics of it doesn't make sense to me. And the Ernie Ball ones are nice. Like you can push with your finger, but I don't know. These Dunlop ones I've had forever and ever and ever, and I've tried a bunch of the other ones, and these are the ones that I keep coming back to. I think they were like $25. You can get them in a bunch of different colors. The only downside is, and this scares people, you have to drill into your guitar because the screw that comes with most guitar strap pins is not thick enough for that.
I would much rather even hire your Long McQuaid guitar guy. I would rather drill a hole into 2 ends of my guitars than have that thing fall off my shoulders, middle of the song, break the neck, break the headstock, or whatever it is.
100%. And the funny thing is, I got that new guitar, didn't have the Straplok, obviously, because I ordered it. And I almost dropped it the first time I played it. It got flipped around a little bit, like it does, right? And I felt the weight, and I just grabbed it in time. So yeah, for those that don't know, this locks your strap in. You cannot take it off. You can spin it 360 and it will stay on there until you push the button. And it's $25 and like 5 minutes of work. 7/64 drill bit. You're good to go.
You can't beat that.
No. So that's Gear Corner for this week. So every week we'll just highlight some product. And now we're moving on to the cars side of things. And so I knew Jay for a few months before I knew that he reviewed cars. I don't know how I missed this. And the first car that I saw him review, and I think you may have just posted it, was the Subaru Crosstrek Hybrid. And that really piqued my interest because I just bought a Crosstrek in May or June. And I was looking at Subarus basically since this time last year. And I knew that the Forester was going to have the e-Boxer electric engine. And then when they announced how much it was, I intuited that the Crosstrek was going to be way too expensive for me. And I was right because I just want to start with one thing. It's only available as the limited trim, which is the top end of their trim at $43,400. So that is not a price for a Crosstrek. I'm sorry. Also, the Santa Fe, Hyundai went the complete opposite direction, where you initially could only get the hybrid in the base model. And I'm like, both of these are terrible market strategies. Like, so my partner bought the Santa Fe and got like the one package you could add, but we're like, oh, we can't get all of these options in the hybrid. And then I look at the Crosstrek, is like, oh, you have to go to the top end to get the hybrid. So now Hyundai has fixed that. I just saw, I went on the website, the 2026 Santa Fe, or maybe we're at 2027. You can get all different options in it. So they have solved that. And I really hope that Subaru does, because if you could name one car brand that is synonymous with the outdoors, with eco-friendly, with all of that, they have the wilderness edition of their vehicles, and yet they are not pushing hybrids and EVs. It's wild. So not starting on a great foot there. I think it looks great, but I think you have a few more things to tell me about it as well to make me feel better for not buying one.
A lot. And I like
Okay.
Subaru. And just to carry on to your point, they have this nationwide planting trees initiative. And once a year, they get all the Subaru owners, all the aspirational Subaru owners together, and they've got a barbecue and they do all this naturey stuff. So you're right, on brand. If you go outdoors and do stuff that is not on pavement, you're either driving a Subaru or looking at one. Subaru on the EV side had the Solterra. It was out for a couple of years. And last year they're like, yeah, we're done. We're not making it anymore. I didn't say anything as to why. The range was not great, but it wasn't awful. And then a couple of months ago, they pulled a JK LOL, it's back with a little more range.
Okay.
And that's okay. EV markets are all sorts of ups, downs, and sideways. So I'm going to leave that on one side. We'll come back to that in a future episode. Subaru is the smallest mainstream manufacturer. And they had to go with Toyota to use their hybrid platform, award-winning, one of the original ones, one of the best ones.
Yep. And there's original Priuses still out there.
Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of kilometers.
It's nuts.
Now, when the Forester Hybrid came out, I went out to BC, ran around in the mountains for 2,000 kilometers, came back, did exactly what it was supposed to. Again, limited trim only. And then the Crosstrek came out, same engine. They didn't down tune it. So you have Forester power with Crosstrek weight. And I'm like, I'm going to get a speeding ticket or 5.
Mm-hmm.
But I had it over Christmas for 3 weeks, and the fuel economy was in the 9s, even though Natural Resources Canada said you should get 7s. And I asked some colleagues who had it, and they're like, we don't know how we're going to present this because the components match, the drivetrain matches, everything that it's supposed to do as a hybrid works, but they just can't get it below 9. And I realized that full-time all-wheel drive takes a lot out. And that was the biggest complaint about Subaru. We love what you do. 99% of Subarus in the past 10 years that have been sold are still on the road. But outdoors, gas engines, and there has to be something. So it's a bit of an enigma. Like, I like it. I wouldn't buy one because I would just save the $10,000, go with an Onyx or a Sport and enjoy all the things, save some money, and still be able to use it to it, and I'd still be able to use it to its full functionality.
What's crazy is it's actually, they list on their website 6.5 liters per 100 kilometers. Which is wild.
Now, it's weird because Natural Resources Canada does thorough testing. So someone, somewhere, somehow got that 6.5. I don't think it was in the real world. And yes, it was winter. Yes, it's snowing, but
still. And what's wild is that I came from a Kia Seltos to the Crosstrek, and I have a very, very lengthy story about that vehicle, and it's not a good story. But they are rated, at the time, they were rated very, very, very similar in fuel economy. And my Crosstrek is absolutely brutal on fuel economy.
How
It
bad?
I'm averaging 9 with the Onyx. And I was getting like between 6 and 7 with my Kia. So it's driving me crazy. And the fact that you're saying that about the hybrid. So again, my partner bought a Santa Fe. She's getting around 6 to
And that's
7.
a different class of vehicle, right? Like that's a
It's like,
mid-size SUV.
and it's pushing large, full size. Like it's so big. And what's crazy is that vehicle with that much more space is 46,000. Yeah. So $3,000 more than the Crosstrek, and you have almost 2 classes size difference.
And that's what, a few bucks on a monthly payment, which is what
Yeah,
people will look at, right? Like
exactly. And the infotainment is way better, and that's the Achilles heel. And I'm interested actually, because this model would have, the one that you tried would have the big 12.3 inch. So how did you find that in terms of usability and response?
remember when your parents said, Matt, as you go through life, if you have nothing nice to say, you probably shouldn't say anything at all.
Okay.
Subaru took a gamble on doing everything touchscreen, which to me was counterintuitive to their eyesight safety system, which was the best in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I'm sure you look down to play with your anything settings, you get eyes on the road, Matt,
Yeah.
and it dings and it beeps, and you're like, so it's slow, it lags, it's bad, it's probably the worst in the industry. Subaru realized this, so the all new Outback, which is out later this year, has physical buttons for your climate. Still has the big screen. It's still a little slow, but all the things you need on the fly while you're doing 100, 110 kilometers an hour on the 102, physical buttons, and that means muscle memory.
Yeah. So there are a few on mine because I don't have the big screen. I've got it's bigger. It's the tall screen on the Onyx, and there is like the hot and cold, right? And like there are some buttons, so it's great, and I love that. But auto for the HVAC is hidden under the button presses. And I'm like, I start the car remotely and I get in the car and I need it to go on auto and I have to, like you said, I'm driving and I'm going, oh my God, what am I? And you press it and it doesn't pop up right away. It's like it's 10 years old. So it's absolutely wild because then I jump into that freaking Santa Fe and I swear it intuits what I'm going to do before I touch the screen. It is so responsive. It drives me crazy. And I'm like, we both have cars from the same year, and mine feels 10 years old in that aspect. And what's really frustrating is I love the Crosstrek. It is my favorite car I've ever owned. It's just like, it's absolutely perfect. I love how it performs in snow, rain, mud, whatever. The full-time all-wheel drive is, and I think what people may not realize is that the full-time all-wheel drive is not just for safety. You hug the road like crazy with that thing.
All right.
And I don't think a lot of people realize that because they are used to the part-time when you need it. And they think that, well, then Subaru is just having extra gas for no reason. It's like, no, there's a reason. Maybe it is using extra gas, as we've talked about. But I have never had a car handle like this, except maybe I had a Wolfsburg Jetta, and that really was incredible.
Oh, wow.
But we'll talk about
that later too.
We have to talk about Volkswagen later too, because there's a brand that I thought I'd be driving for the rest of my life until I started having to repair them. So there is that. So lastly with the Crosstrek, so I love it. I think that the hybrid is a miss. I hope they take this and learn from it. Firstly, getting that fuel economy down, but secondly, put it in other models. It doesn't have to be in all of them, but I mean, it could be. It could be. Lots of other people are doing that. But you can't have a 43,000 for starting price Canadian in that segment. That's hard.
In Subaru's defense, specifically the accounting department, they know that they could have put that up to 45, 46, and people would still buy it. So my take is so my take for their logic is let's make as much money as we can. We'll eventually maybe drop it down to something in the middle, but let's make some bank while we can. I don't
Sure.
agree with it because not everybody has the money for a $43,000 subcompact freaking crossover. Like, like you said, the Celtos, the Kona, the Kicks, they're all like high 20s into the low 30s. So I don't know. It's a weird play from a consumer point, but a very smart play from an internal financial standpoint. Ugh.
Now, one weird thing too is that it doesn't come in pure red. It's like one of the only models that you can't get in that color. Like what? Why? Especially considering it also has it has orange stitching in the leather seats. So like they did something custom for that car, like they did with the Onyx, but they don't offer it in that color. And when I went to the website today, I didn't see a single green option in any of the Crosstreks.
I think they messed up on the coloring. So I had a lime green one, which they called
Yeah.
acidic yellow. I'm like, did we just copy and paste the wrong cell for the paint department, guys? Like, seriously.
That is like, do you know what I think it's the exact same Pantone as the Mazda 2 when it came out. It looks so similar. Do you remember that one?
Oh, I do.
It's like the same green. Like, but they know that people want that sweet green and that sweet blue, and they stick it in the wilderness, and they're like, yeah, you'll pay. Yeah.
What are you going to do? Go somewhere else with
no,
symmetrical all-wheel drive?
That's the thing. Like, they know that they're a small manufacturer that makes some of the best and most reliable vehicles. So, like, full credit. And then partnering with Toyota, the number one in reliability, is killer. And so I'll, spoiler alert, I didn't have a good experience with my Kia, and I bought the Subaru because it's reliable. And I'm hoping that I'm proven right. But what's amazing is we have this really great independent shop here. Shout out to Symmetrical Auto in Dartmouth. And they work on the WRXs, and all the people who have those vehicles go there, but they'll work on any Subaru. And I brought it in, and they did a free checkup of it when I bought it because it was a year old. And the guy's like, looks brand new. And he's like, and it'll probably stay that way for many years.
Wow,
it's like
that's awesome.
They really obviously like the product, and yeah. Okay, I think that is enough about the Crosstrek. Subaru, I love you. Do not be mad at us. We just want you to succeed and
Yes.
do great things and make cars that we can 100% suggest to people, because I can't suggest that they buy this hybrid, unfortunately. However, if you're still in the market for an ICE vehicle, ICE, shouldn't say ICE.
You can. It's our show. We can do whatever we want.
Still in the market for a gas engine, then the Crosstrek is a great vehicle. Okay, I think that's great for episode 1. In the next episode, we have a couple topics picked. We plan on talking about cheap guitars. So I mentioned that Gretsch. They'll definitely be part of the discussion. And the car topic is going to be CarPlay.
Oh, diving into the good stuff in episode 2.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Sounds good. Well, thanks, Jay.
Thanks, Matt.
And thank you for listening. And we'll see you next time.